Good morning. We are up here at the shop today. It is a nice cold, wet, rainy day, so it's a good day to service the TL12R2. So I need to do the 500-hour service on this machine. I think I may have filmed the 250, but I'm basically going to be doing the same thing as that one or whatever. And I'll kind of go over all the steps on the 500-hour service. You basically change every filter on the machine, and then the gear oil and the final drives. Everything basically, but taking and changing the hydraulic fluid. So all the filters, cab filter, oil filter, fuel filters, the hydraulic filter, and there's a pilot line filter, like I said, the drive motor. So I need to do that and kind of clean it up a little bit from the brush mowing. I am also going to show you guys back here, we'll take this cover off and how to show you to adjust the priority valve. So for any of those that have a 12R2 or V2, you can actually go in there and adjust that, because I'm sure the ones that have those machines and have ran them, they're fantastic. It's just the multi-function sides of this machine gets a little aggravating. And what I mean by that is when you have like a brush mower attachment or anything on the front of it, it puts all the hydraulic power to the auxiliaries or the head, so there's a hesitation or a little bit of time on the raising, lowering, or curling or whatever, moving. Like I just recently done all this brush mowing, and the first day I was kind of aggravated because I need to be able to like kind of slowly raise and lower the brush cutter to follow the contour of the ground, and you almost have to stop moving and raise and lower it. But with adjusting this valve, helps alleviate a lot of that. I think I moved mine almost 3/4 of a turn, and it's almost just non-existent like my TL250. So Takeuchi may not be excited that I'm going to share that, but I want to, because that's the only thing that ever aggravated me about this machine was running that brush cutter and the way it kind of ran that head and stuff. It puts the power to the head, awesome, but not being able to move the arms as quick as I wanted was kind of frustrating. So yeah, let's dive into it. I let it warm up for a minute. Like I said, it's like 38 degrees and raining, so we'll just kind of go through all the steps. I usually start draining the oil first, and then I'll work on flipping the cab up. Most of the filters you have to on this machine is all under the cab, minus the air filters and stuff. So yeah, let's just dive in. So these two bolts right here. When I do the 1,000-hour service, I usually take this great big belly pan off just so I can clean out all the bottom of the engine bay and stuff. Sometimes it's about as easy just to take that off. Doing any of the services if you need to get to stuff. And it's usually packed full of dirt as well. Yeah, I got about an inch or so of dirt. These things just collect dirt in here like crazy. So, all right, here's your handy dandy little, it's pretty simple. All it is like a piece of 3/4 inch tube and then this little 90 fitting. So the good news is it comes with the new purchase of a new machine. So that's what one salesman told me before. I was like, well, for $105,000 it ought to, but if not, you can buy pretty much just anywhere you can get these 90-degree fittings. You can kind of make your own. So all right, while that's draining, I just come up here and pop the cap off, and then we'll go ahead and change the air filters out just while I'm right here. And I'll probably go ahead and change the outer and inner filter. The outer filter I change every service. I actually cut my intervals in half of what the book recommends now, because it says every 500 hours is the only time you got to change the oil and service the machine, where the TL250 was always 250. So I guess I'm still old school. So every 250 hours I change the engine oil and filter and the outer air filter, and then on the 500 hours I'll do all the other filters, and then 750 and stuff like that. But the outer filter gets changed every 250 hours, and I'm probably going to go ahead and change the inner one this time. even though this machine's got like 513 hours on it, I've had it for a little over, I guess not quite it'd be 2 years in February of next year, March or whatever. So it's like almost December of 25. So, but yeah, I've never changed that filter, and it was extremely dusty over the summer. If you keep the outer ones changed, you don't normally have to change the inner ones before the 1,000 hours. But like I said, I don't know. Everything's a little overkill, I guess. So. And this one probably doesn't look bad, because like I said, if you change the outer one out, yeah, it's not, I mean, you guys probably can't really tell on the camera, it's not really bad. But you also never blow out the inner filter. So the outer filter you can blow out as long as you carefully do it and blow it out from the inside out. You don't want to just take the hose and just stick it right on the outside and blow everything in. You'll take a chance of tearing that. But like I said, just for the hours or the time, mostly just the time that I've had on here and how dusty it was, probably going to go ahead and change this. And then I'll, in 500 hours, I may change it again to get it on there, or maybe wait till the 1,000 hours on that. But which this one's slightly different looking. That other one is a Donovan or Donaldson brand, I think. So, and then these are, supposedly they're made here in the US. So I don't know what brand of filter it is, but they just look blue or white instead of blue. Nice clean air filter. Gonna push it in there till it locks, and then and that part of it is done. Now we'll go up front, flip the cab up, start changing all the other filters. Now in the cab, you just got 2 bolts, one on that side, one on that side. It's a 24 millimeter. We'll take them loose and the cab will flip up. One thing you do want to do before you get too carried away with flipping the cab up is come back here. I got a lot of sticks in here. And next to the exhaust right here, it's just a pin. Pull that out, and then when you flip the cab back up, it's got a hole right here. It's just the safety latch that you need to put in. So, and when the cylinders on this cab are new, one person by themselves can raise these cabs up. As time progresses and these cylinders go weak, you almost need 2 people to do this. But yeah, everything else we have to change is here. It's kind of hard to tell with how dirty it is, but you have your oil filter, and then I think it's a high pressure fuel filter, and this one's I think it's a secondary fuel filter water separator, I believe. And then the pilot line filter, which just controls the hydraulic controls. And then right here is the in-tank hydraulic filter that we need to change. So basically, you take this one off, get it out of the way, change this one, put it back on, and then you can put that one back in there. But yeah, as you can tell, I desperately need to wash this machine. Unfortunately, right now in my shop, we've had the bathroom torn apart. We started trying to remodel it, and there were some issues with the old pressure tank, so it's about halfway put together, so I can't even use my power washer. I don't have any water down here right now, so I never really think about it or worry about it until I start trying to do this stuff and think, man, it'd be nice to use my power washer. So one of these days we'll get around to that, but I'll probably just either take some air or the shop vac and try to blow some of this stuff off, or brake cleaner and wipe it down, at least for today, because you don't want to get dust and dirt down here in the hydraulics. And then that's actually the hydraulic tank fill. There's also one out front right here that you can take loose if you don't want to pull the cab up, because the gauge for the hydraulics is right down here. But there's another fill that you can kind of see it right there, which I'll probably have to use because I had a little bit of a leak back underneath here. One of the fittings was loose, I noticed the other day, so it was leaking out. So, and I don't know, I may even just pop that one loose and in there. So, and the loaders for the hydraulics, the newer machines here take a 1030 diesel engine motor oil. So like I'll put Rotella 1030 in here for, you know, the 1030 motor oil for diesels, and the engine oil in this machine, I'll do the T6 Rotella, the 1540. But the loaders are the only ones that take engine oil in the hydraulics. The excavators, I'll take the AW46 hydraulic fluid, I believe, fluid or oil. But I don't know what the reasoning, I'm not sure if the engine oil is thinner or what the deal is, but it's always, the loaders have always taken engine oil. Because like my TL250 is the same way. I've always put 1030 motor oil in the hydraulics on that. So I get that question quite a bit. So yeah, that's so what you put in there is the 1030 diesel engine oil is what it says. Which I also, maybe someone can tell me in the comments, there's got to be an additive or something. I don't know why it says you have to have diesel engine oil versus just the normal, I don't know if it's gasoline or SAE or whatever, but I didn't know all that at the time. And on my 250, I just used the O'Reilly's brand 1030 that I'm pretty sure is for a gas engine, but that machine's got over 10,000 hours on it, so I don't want to change it now. But the newer ones, I'll probably run, like I said, the Rotella 1030, because it does specify diesel engine oil, which, like I said, I have no idea the difference between gas engine oil and diesel engine oil, but I'm guessing there's some sort of additive that they want you to have in there. So yeah, that's that. But I usually just start with the oil, and then the fuel filters I'll do, and then just kind of work my way over here. But we'll probably do a little bit of cleanup first. Try to do this without just dumping oil. This is part of the reason all the dust and dirt gets in here, because this oil will kind of drip down and then sticks to it, and then you got it 2 inches of dirt in the bottom of here. Careful. And be sure you smear just a little bit of new oil on the gasket here. I'd actually dump a little bit of oil in the filter just so it's not completely dry when it starts up, but there seemed to really tighten up on there. Yeah, it's always gonna make a mess. Partially that's why I always like to power wash everything after I service it, just because it always dumps a little bit of oil and fuel down there. There's going to be some that won't like this, but I just fill this up with my transfer tank in my truck. Basically just kind of keep it full where the air's out of it, but some people worry about like cross-contamination, and I just always have done it that way, and I've never had any issues or anything with it, so I guess, knock on wood, we'll just keep going that way, and I guess till something happens. Gotta hold your mouth just right. I can't remember, these are both just fuel filters. I know the water separator's on the back, but I think it's something to do with this high pressure fuel system that's on this motor, because I think all the new loaders have, like my 250's just got one fuel filter, but it's an older Kubota engine versus this newer one. So, all right, now we'll move on to the pilot line and the hydraulic tank filter. Now we'll move on to the pilot line filter. It's 27 millimeter in this one. This kind of makes a mess again. I could probably put like a, I don't know, piece of cardboard or something. There's really no good way to catch what little bit comes out of here. Kind of got to pop that loose, and then you can flip it up. So yeah, that just kind of runs out of there, but that's the actual filter, and then it the new one comes with the new O-ring right there, so we'll put that back on. We'll change the hydraulic tank filter. It's 4 17mm bolts. And this will have another O-ring. It's got this lid and a spring, and then kind of a little, I don't know if you'd call it like a cap, just sits down inside the filter to help hold the spring and put pressure on it. Set that out of the way. There's the spring. This whole thing, like I said, just goes inside the filter, and the spring sits on that. There's the O-ring you got to take off. And then your hydraulic filter. Yeah, I'm gonna get like a bowl or something. Big enough. It's got a little spot that I think this thing, yeah, it kind of sits down over. And I take a little bit of the oil, put on the gasket. All right, and you just put it all back together. Now you're ready for the pilot line filter, and I just kind of dropped it back down. And used to, I'd try to put the filter in there and then slide this whole thing on, but it always made a huge mess. So you just kind of, like you took it off, you just got to make sure you pop it back in there till you fill that, and then thread this long thing back in there. And now that is all the filters under the cab, under the machine. Basically, the only other filter left is the cab filter for the HVAC unit, and it's all up inside there. When we get done, we'll change that out. But now we'll wipe everything out here, and then I'll take the drain plug out, or the tube off, and then we'll fill the engine up with oil, start it up, make sure we don't have any leaks. We're ready to fill the oil up now. So in this machine, I run the T6 1540 oil, the Rotella. I think in some areas you can run like the 1030. The book tells you like the temperature range, but I've always ran the 1540 in all my machines. So a lot of like the older stuff, I'll run T5. I guess it's basically just the TL250, but everything else I do the T6, the full synthetic. The T5 is like the synthetic blend, but I think even the 260 is new enough. I just run the T6 in it, I believe. But I know like this 12 and the 2150 both recommend like a synthetic blend type oil, which is probably the biggest reason they say you can actually go 500 hours instead of 250. But I still feel better at every 250 hours on an oil change. Like I said, I'm old school, I guess, but I figure it's just cheap insurance, just changing the oil. It doesn't cost that much and take that long. Every 250 hours, as hard as these machines get ran, just to kind of keep everything nice and lubricated. So get this in here. This machine holds 13.9 quarts, so what is that, like about 3.5 gallons. So we'll get these dumped in here, and then I leave the cab up and just double check, make sure that I don't have any leaks from the filters and the plug, and then we can lower that down. So yeah, let me get this filled up, and then I'll check back with you guys when we get ready to start it up. We'll check the oil real quick. It should be at the right level, but since there was no leaks, but it's always good to double check. Looks good, it's right there at the mark. So now we'll drop the cab down, and then I'll get this thing kind of positioned to go ahead and change the drive motors while I'm changing the cab filter. So you really can't tell, but somewhere, yeah, right there is another hole. I think I've talked about this before, but we'll actually just have to back it up and get these straight up and down, and then I'll kind of go over how we got to change that and what all we need to do. All right, take our pin out. One quick inspection, make sure I didn't leave any tools or anything. Get our bolts back in. Cab is bolted down, so let's back the machine up just a little bit. Taking a gallon plastic oil jug and cut it where I can let this stuff drain down in there to it. Okay, now we're in the cab. Okay, yeah, I think it's a 10 millimeter. 4 of those because the filters, I think there should be 2 filters in here, I believe. I hate to say it, but I don't think I've ever replaced these filters or anything like that. So I think it recommends like every 250 hours, like blowing them out or something. But I just got new ones to put in there now. So let me get the wrench and we'll do that. Okay, I think, yeah, I think there's 2. I think they call this one like a carbon filter. I think I've got a new one of these too. I'm getting all new filters. This one I think they call the carbon filter. You can actually like blow or wash it out, I believe. I don't know why these little black things are stuck to it if this thing's supposed to be replaceable. Kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know why you would do that if okay, that's pretty easy and straightforward. It's an odd design with the little foam things that were stuck to the filter, but yeah, that'll make a big difference because that filter was nasty. Definitely a little bit, I mean, I don't know. The carbon filter is a little easier to change on this than the 250. The 250, that filter that I just put in there, that last one, is actually on the outside of the machine. On the back of the cab, you just pop 2 little deals out, but it gets dirty extremely quick. This one was pretty filthy, but I think it's actually probably filtered out a little bit better having it where it's located than outside the machine. So yeah, I'll tighten these back up. We'll finish up that one drive motor and jump to the other one. Okay, I think this one's draining. I actually heard a noise when I was in the cab changing that filter, and it ended up being the drain pan that I had hit the ground. So I got like a whole bunch of gear oil right down here on the floor. So luckily I had some floor dryer. I actually recommend taking like a sealant tape and putting back on these plugs. Always a little tricky because these things are not very wide. I don't know if it matters. I try to tear it off where there's not a whole bunch inside. I'm sure with gear oil and gears, it's probably not a huge deal, but pan's a little pointless, so I can take that out of the way. All right, filled another one up, so and here it's running out, so That is what we're looking for. So now we will just repeat the process on the other side. Draining the other drive motor. I mentioned to you guys earlier I would show you how to adjust the priority valve. So there's 5 13mm bolts in this cover, and this will be the same on a 12R2 or a V2 right here, but I've already taken the bolts out. Right here is where you can adjust this valve, and that's a 17mm nut, and you just break that loose, and what you will actually want to do is back this it's an Allen wrench head bolt out a little bit more, because if you run it all the way in, it'll make put all of the flow to the auxiliary hydraulics, and the arm will not move up and down or anything. So I actually back mine off about 3/4 of a turn, and that's pretty much got it where there's not much hesitation when the mower's running and like curling and dumping the bucket and such. So like I said, I don't really need to adjust mine, but you'll just break this nut loose, and then, I mean, every machine's gonna vary. You may need to back yours out a full turn, a turn and a half. You can actually just kind of play with it and you have to just kind of get back in and out and run it until you're happy with the responsiveness of the hydraulics and the attachment that you're running. And then once you get it where you like it, you just tighten that 17mm nut back down and it's set. So yeah, it's pretty simple really, but yeah, that is where the priority valve adjustment is located on a 12R2 or V2. Like I said, Takeuchi may not be super excited that I'm sharing that, but I get a lot of comments and questions either on Instagram or here of people that a lot of guys run mulchers on these and kind of complain about that. So I absolutely love this machine. I mean, it is an animal at moving dirt and everything else. The only thing that's kind of driven me nuts is when I put that brush cutter on. Like I said, I needed to move it up and down to follow the contour, and it'd take a second to get the flow back to it. But with adjusting that 3/4 or 1 turn that I did made a huge difference in it. So hopefully to anyone else that's got one of these machines, like I said, it'll work on the V2 or the R2 on the 12s. Hopefully that will solve a lot of you guys' problem and kind of alleviate that, especially the guys that run mulchers. I mean, I know you don't want to back it off too much because they want a lot of the power to the head, but you can turn that thing just a little bit and probably get it right where you're looking for, where you can still move the arms and the bucket and stuff back and forth at a reasonable or responsive pace and still have enough pressure to the head. So that is how you adjust the priority valve on a TL12R2 or V2. And that is basically the 500-hour service right there. I feel like that was a pretty detailed video of how to do it. So a lot of the people that have either have these or watched this before, this was probably kind of boring. I try to kind of make it to ones that are new to these machines and kind of go over everything. The only other thing I need to do now is grease the machine and probably check the tension on the tracks, which I'll try to throw that up in another part of the video, I believe. And then, yeah, I may just take it outside for maybe tomorrow when it's not cold and rainy and try to clean out a little more of the belly pan and stuff on the inside. But he will be good to go now for another 250 hours. And then next time at the 750-hour mark, I'll just do the outer air filter and then the engine and the oil filter, and that'll be it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was somewhat helpful. So I appreciate it, and I'll just catch you on the next one.